Heels Podcast. One handsome devil. Your host, Jack Purcell. Scissor me, daddy ass. Louis Perry, your co-host. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. Faces and Heels Podcast.
Welcome to the Faces and Heels Podcast with a bonus episode this week. The cat's out of the bag, Louis. We got Louis Perry, Jack Purcell, and we've got a spectacular guest tonight. We have the one and only Commentator Extreme and Supreme, as well as all over the place in the world of pro wrestling, Alyssa Marino.
Hi.
Can you get an intro right for once?
I like being supreme and extreme at the same time.
Yeah,
actually.
Louis.
Yeah, I know you are. Alyssa, you have a beautiful singing voice. So I think
Aw.
you and I should do a duet.
We should.
Yeah.
Are we do? Is this
you-
now karaoke?
Because
I'm
it could go
down.
anywhere. It could go
I
anywhere.
think it could be. Hold on.
Oh, that's wow.
What, you like this voice?
It's charming.
It's charming.
Oh, now then it got scary at the end.
I know, but we could do this one. It's very charming, so let's do a duet.
That sounded lovely. I like that.
I know.
Wow.
I think so, but I think other people might get mad.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm not mad at it. I think that was actually, if my actual voice sounded like that, I would sing everything. But I think it might
I would too.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
All right, Louis. Nice job.
I'm impressed.
Jack, you're such a baby. You always have to be a baby.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to grow up one of these days. Actually,
You
I'm
better.
Not. I'm not.
All right.
How fun is
Don't do it.
that?
No, it's like my favorite Ramones song. I don't want to grow up. That's what I've modeled my life after.
Fair.
Well, Alyssa, thank you for tolerating Louis playing with his toys. We appreciate you being here tonight. And we were just talking about before we came on that I hold you responsible for the first ever Jack chant at a pro wrestling show.
It was a magical moment. And first, thank you guys for having me on. I'm very, very excited to chat. Yes, at the Blitzkrieg, what was it? The bash at the brewery?
Yeah, it was
The
Ashley
brewery
Vox.
event?
Yeah.
Ashley
how
Vox.
how did that happen? The first ever Jack chant.
So I think
How?
I was ring announcing, and I pointed out because Jack had done the artwork for the event. So
Mhm.
we had these really cool flyers and posters. I was like, hey, Jack Purcell is over there. And the crowd was feeling it. And they were like, Jack. It was pretty dope. It was exciting. I was glad I got to be there for it.
I appreciate making it happen. That was
Heck
phenomenal.
yeah. Gotta show that appreciation for your skill.
Yeah, it's hard to outshine guys like Bryce Donovan who were standing next to me. So,
I know. Don't take the spot too hard,
No.
And also shout out to Bryce and hope he's having a speedy recovery at home.
Yeah, 100%. Bryce is a great dude.
Lots of great people up here. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that for sure because you're someone who hasn't just been in the Northeast. You have had experiences all over. And it's funny because the first time I remember seeing you was in California, and I think it was a PWG event where you were a ring announcer, if I'm not mistaken. I know that you've done a bunch of different stuff over there.
Definitely a lot. Never PWG, but I definitely have done a fair amount of stuff over on the West Coast. That was actually where I got started. Such a cool experience. I had was very lucky to find Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, where they actually did a like managers and announcers program. So I was able to kind of dig my heels in over there and learn everything there was to learn. And it was pretty much a really cool course where they taught everything that wasn't in ring physical competition. So they were training referees, they were training people to do sound, people to hold cameras, people to be photographers, commentators, ring announcers, everything. So it was really, really cool. It became kind of like a miscellaneous production sort of class, as well as like managers, announcers, and stuff like that. So I'm very, really grateful that all kind of came into play, because that I think was such a wonderful experience to kind of dip my toes into.
Yeah, like what kind of got you there? Did you have a background in communications or something of that sort?
So I guess I had a background in performing. Like I had done plays and musicals and stuff like that when I was a little kid, like all through grade school and high school. But my degree is actually in vocal performance. And I was I trained to sing opera. So I was always used to being in, kind of like the voices that we were doing earlier, just slightly. But yeah, so that was where my background came from. When I moved out to California, I still wanted to do something creative, and there you go. And fun fact was that my first kind of endeavors when I moved to LA was I was in a comic book writing class, and I wanted to write comic books. And I eventually just kind of fell into the wrestling stuff because I think there were flyers for wrestling at the comic book shop where I was going to. I started kind of watching more independent stuff and realizing what an incredible scene there was out in LA and in SoCal. And one thing kind of led to another. And I found Santino Brothers, and here I am now.
Wow, interesting. So are you from California originally, or where'd you make the journey from to LA?
We're full circle now, because I was born and raised in Philadelphia, and then moved out to LA. I had actually transferred with my job. I was working in New Jersey, and I actually wasn't far from Philly at all, but then was able to move over to SoCal and just kind of start fresh, try new things. And then Florida, and now back up to the Northeast. So it's literally like a little triangle I've gone into.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the right place to talk about pro wrestling and comic books, because this is what we specialize in. So what was your influence to become a comic book writer? Was there a certain writer that you were a fan of, or how did that happen?
It was so funny. I feel like I go into these like tailspins where I'm really, really passionate about stuff, and I just like inhale everything. I think it was oh God, I'm gonna totally blank on it now. But there were a couple different series I was reading. I was reading like Gwenpool. I think I was really into Ms. Marvel was a huge one for me. I don't think there was any particular artist or series or writer or anything that it was, again, one of those things where I felt like at Santino's, I was like, well, I don't think I'm equipped to wrestle. So let me still be part of the world. And for me, I was like, I can't draw, but I still want to be part of the world. So I was like, let me just tell the story kind of thing. So that was my idea, was to come up with, I think throughout the class, we came up with a concept, and then kind of like created little like storyboard ideas of what each panel would look like, and went from there. But yeah, I don't think there was any particular like artist or series that got me into it. It was just kind of, I went really into it for like a solid 8 or 9 months. I was just like all about it. And then I was like, okay. And then I kind of tapered off, and I picked up something new.
That's probably for the best. The pro wrestling world's wild, as you know, we've gotten so much. We've had so much fun and gotten so much insight talking to people over the last 3 years. But having been in the comic book world for a long time, it is mind-boggling how many similarities there are. So it may have been for the best. Did you ever make it to the San Diego Comic-Con?
I didn't. I always wanted to, but I never got there. I think it'd be really cool to one day get there.
Yes, you have to put that on your bucket list. It's a must.
Definitely.
Louis, are you going to say something?
Nope.
Okay, good. Just kidding.
Nope. Not going to say anything.
Okay. So then pro
What?
wrestling. So you're from
Uh,
Philly, where there is a mecca of talent. Lewis and I were always asking the
Mecca.
talent who we talk to, like, is there something in the water? Why is there so much wrestling talent that comes out of PA?
I think one of the biggest things is how nice of a cluster there is of opportunities and places and different fan bases. And I mean, of course, there's some crossover, but you have a lot of little niches that are clustered together and different full states that are able to get to by car. Whereas California, you're just like in California. Maybe you're in Vegas, maybe you're in Arizona, but it's a lot of California. And I think sometimes it almost was like a little bit of an island. And there were so many, hidden gems that are out there still that I think if they were able to be seen by the vast different audiences that are out here in the kind of like New England Northeast cluster, I think it would be a great opportunity.
Yeah, and now with IWTV, that's become more of a reality, right? Because you're all over IWTV. Has that been a game changer for you, where it's almost like an advertisement for your work every time you're out there?
1,000%. And I think that they have, what I love about IWTV too is they have such an incredible catalog of so many, that's where I go for like a lot of my commentary research. And I'm just like, okay, what's on IWTV? What can I find from, this person? Yeah, I think that it's a great tool. And I think a great way to get more names and more talent out there, just kind of getting their names on people's lips, I think is really important.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Lewis isn't picking up on my subtle cue here.
Oh, go ahead. Go.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so in California, you're out here and enveloped in the world of pro wrestling. What was the motivation? Like, did you watch it with a family member? Did you discover pro wrestling on your own? Were you like a WWE fan? Like, how did you initially make that jump?
So I had a really long hiatus. When I first was introduced to wrestling, it was with my great grandfather, watching, highlights of The Undertaker and Ric Flair. And oh God, I probably was like 5 years old. And then I didn't really pick back up until I was in my mid 20s. So I had a lot of delving and research to do, which I love to research. So it kind of worked out really well. I feel like there was always like an underlying, like I knew it existed, but I wasn't keenly aware of what was going on. Like I didn't follow along with any programs or anything like that. But definitely my great grandpa was the big one, that first initial taste. And I was more afraid of Paul Bearer than I was of Undertaker.
That's healthy fear.
It is,
Yeah,
but
he
yeah.
kind of looked creepy. Good old Percy Pringle.
What a guy.
Yeah, no, genuinely scary. I was creeped out by him as well. What was your first live
I was
event?
creeped out by him as being Percy Pringle.
Yeah, he's scary without the makeup for sure.
But I heard a gem of a person. So
yeah, I've never met him. Did you ever met him, Lewis?
I met him once, and I heard lots of stories about him. I heard that he was a great ribber. And I know that he used to rib The Undertaker quite often by putting cucumbers in his drinks a lot. And he used to always rib everybody that he was around, especially Bam Bam Bigelow a lot too. Even though he didn't manage Bam Bam, Oliver Humperdinck did, but he used to rib Bam Bam quite often because they were also close. I've just met him in passing, but never, actually had a conversation with him.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's interesting because I think somebody like yourself whose career really focuses around your voice can almost know too much sometimes. Like I'm not one of those people, but I know a lot of people who are involved in different jobs that require their voice to be strong. So sometimes I feel like you almost know too much about what you should do and need to do to properly care for your voice. Is that something that you get paranoid about? Like, are you always wearing a scarf when you go out and making sure that your voice doesn't kick out before an event?
Now that you mention it, probably not as much as I should, which isn't good. I mean, I try and just, keep my voice as healthy as possible. I'm usually doing a million things and severely dehydrated on show days. So like, I'm not helping my case there. I did this thing while I was in school, which is terrible to admit. But I always just had this kind of blind faith that my voice would be there for me no matter what, which is probably, like I said, not the most healthy mindset to have, but I've always just had this trust that, like, hey, when the time comes, like, you're going to talk and it's going to be fine. You're going to talk for, upwards of 3 hours and you're going to be fine. One thing I will say though is red grapes, excellent for hydrating the voice. So anyone that is wants to make sure that their voice is in tip-top condition, red grapes.
Wow.
Cranberry juice is too, but it also makes you tired.
It does? I
Yeah.
didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
No.
Why is that? Why is that?
We were going to do a thing on my other show for Guinness Book of World Records, and we were going to just podcast straight. And I was doing a lot of research, and I love cranberry apple juice, and
Classic.
I'm just gonna pound it down because I don't drink alcohol. I don't, so I was just gonna drink that, and that does soothe your voice, and you can talk. And as you heard before with the voice changer, I'm just all about having fun. So it does, but if you drink too much of it, that is like melatonin. It will knock you out. So don't. I mean, you can
Wow.
drink a lot of it, and then it'll go back to King Kong versus Godzilla, the original, and that's how they put King Kong to sleep, by giving him cranberry juice. So I should have known that all along. Don't drink too much cranberry juice.
Did
The
you
more
just
you
make that
know.
up? Did you make
No,
that
I
up?
didn't just make that up. It's true.
Wow. See,
Do I look like a person that would make stuff up? No. This is no.
okay.
No.
I mean, I don't remember that, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, that's what they gave King Kong to knock him out. Cranberry juice.
Wow, how interesting. Well, Alyssa, I'm just going to offer you my 2 cents because I'm not a
Yes.
professional doctor, but I recommend Guinness. Like that for me has just
okay.
maintained a strong timbre in my
This
voice.
is Jack's 2 cents.
Excellent. I will keep that in mind.
Just throwing
Thank
it
you.
out there.
Above water, Guinness.
Yeah, often in tandem. I think one feeds the other. So I'm not against hydration, but I do think there's a way to bolster that.
Excellent. Noted.
My son says that he thinks I made it up. No, boy, I did not. It
Okay.
is true.
We'll take your word for it. We don't have any
Agreed.
reason not
Agreed.
to really trust you. Sort of. So I like to use this word. So I'm going to ask you this question because I like to shoehorn it in anytime I can. One thing that I think is always super impressive about the work that you do, especially because you do a lot of long shows. I've seen a lot of your work on IWTV. I've been at a lot of the shows live that you've done. And there is a real challenge, I think, in anyone who's even doing like a podcast, and not that I'm putting it on that level, but is to avoid fumfering, which is like one of my favorite words, where people are like stumbling over their words, like well, like yeah, kind of like literally, and like all that stuff. And that's, I don't know how that works, if you just naturally speak with that kind of flow. Is that something you have to work at to avoid all those sort of moments where you're like stuff
Yes. Yes. And I think it's something that, I mean, I don't think anyone's ever 100% all the time. Like, I've been doing this for, I mean, it's a barely anything, but like 5 years later, right? And I still have moments where I'm like, and I just have a brain fart mid sentence. And it definitely is a challenge. I think that there's so many factors to consider. There's, traveling. Did you sleep well the night before? Are you tired? Are you dehydrated? Everything like that can play into it. And I think, honestly, one of my mentors gave me the best advice in the world, and it feels so simple. But it's not. It's something that in the heat of the moment, I was forgetting. And I was trying so much to get across so many different stories and things. And I was getting so tangled up in my words. And Lenny Leonard told me, you'll never be wrong if you just call what you see. If you feel like you're totally screwed up and you're off track, just watch the monitor or watch the event, watch the wrestlers, call what you see until you can get back to where you want to go. And it felt so duh, but it wasn't clicking. So, Lenny provided me with that much needed and much appreciated advice.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? But I mean, sometimes simple advice is difficult to execute because, I mean, how long does it take you to get back to where you want to go? And you do have to really be present and say, okay, moving forward, the next word is in front of me. Everything else is vanished now because we're live. But I remember specifically watching you do a preview of Restival this year. And I think like when Lewis and I are even doing our thing, sometimes it's really hard when you have not only one card that you're trying to remember all the matches and you don't want to mess up anybody's name, but you guys are going through 3 days worth of cards with multiple companies. And I just thought that was an amazing moment. Like I was marveling at what you guys were doing because it seemed pretty seamless. You guys were just going through and everything felt like it flowed and it was really informative. And I learned that there were people in matches that I didn't know were happening. That seemed like to me maybe one of the most challenging things you could do. But in your opinion, is there one specific thing that is the most challenging about live commentating?
To me, I think it's getting out of one's head. And by that, I mean, I don't think anyone, roots against you as much as yourself. So I think that I put a lot of, I think I can personally put a lot of pressure on myself that ends up kind of just like eating away. So it's more so to me, the struggle is just like, hey, stay present, stay mindful, stay in this moment. Okay, oops, you messed something up. Move on. Like, the match is still happening. The show's not over. So I think just not like beating yourself up. And obviously, I guess that's like one small aspect of it. Not necessarily like logistical, but definitely.
Excuse me, I got breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Right there. King Kong. Berry juice. Now they put him to sleep. Thank you.
Perfect.
Talk about
Okay.
staying present. Lewis is really focused
Continue.
2 minutes ago, but okay.
I think honestly that was the main thing. I think that in all aspects of commentary, it's kind of just staying out of your head and getting across the story, the moves, the excitement, everything that's happening, because it's not about us and it's not about what's going on in our heads. It's about the story that the talent's telling.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I think it's such a logical way to look at it and it's totally sensible. But sometimes in the excitement, and you know how it is, like when you're at those live events, there's like a really palpable energy that I think is easy to get caught up in.
Oh, for sure. There's definitely been countless times where I'm like, oh, right. Like I'm called. Okay. Oops.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, I think I can't remember. I think you were on commentary. I haven't watched the show back on IWTV yet, but we were just talking to TJ Crawford earlier this week, and we were talking about his match with Anthony Green at Blitzkrieg, and I was standing like a few feet away from the ring at this moment where he there was a move that didn't quite go the way they had planned, and TJ smashed his head, and I thought he was really hurt. And I wonder for you at those moments, I mean, so many of the people who are performing, is that something that kind of throws you where you're like, oh my God, I want to go check if this person's okay?
Oh, yeah. Especially when I'm watching Andy Brown go through a table.
Yeah, right.
I think I actually, in that moment, I just went like my broadcast partner had to take over because I'm like, I was so concerned. But yes, I think that's definitely a demanding part of it, especially when it's like, these are my friends, these are people I love and care about, and it's like, was everything,
Yeah,
so
right.
Always a struggle. That was a heartwarming moment. That felt really nice.
Yes, it was. I can tell just by the look in your eyes.
But yes, that is definitely tricky. That's hard.
Yeah, I mean, because there's been some extreme circumstances. Again, I will talk about it at some point, I'm sure, but I don't know how much wrestling you want in your life. If you're there watching Monday Night Raw or AEW or MLW, whatever. But, I remember the time where Jerry Lawler had that heart attack on live TV, and those guys kept it together. And I don't know, maybe they didn't realize how serious the situation was, but that was crazy. And that showed a lot of professionalism. So those kind of moments really make me appreciate the commentators, or even when there's action happening right in front of them and a water spills on their iPad and somebody's going through their table, to maintain your composure.
Yeah.
Well, the
And
same could be said when Owen passed away. I mean, they kept their composure. They did everything they had to do. And then when the whole bit with Sean, they really played it off when Sean supposedly had the concussion and passed out in the ring. They played it off as well. I mean, you really have to give it to all the commentators, which leads me to my question for Alyssa. Is there anyone that you study? I mean, we have all the boys on, or all the girls on. We asked her, okay, who do you go back and study? Do you study in any of the you go back and you study tapes of this person in the ring or that team in the ring? Do you study any of the commentators? Do you listen to them? Do you listen to any audio? Do you listen to any tapes? What who do you study?
for sure. I think so definitely the mindset I have, I don't often go back with like back into the 80s, 90s and study commentary from back then. But I think a lot of the people that I try and take notes from are, Lenny Leonard, like I said, I
Mhm.
think is tremendous. Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, I will always learn something new and just appreciate them as a team and study the way that they work together. Um, Matt and Tom Hannafin from Impact as well, I think have a really incredibly work beautifully together. So I always study them as well. I would say I study teams as well a lot of the time, just to kind of see how the banter is. If you're in a play-by-play role, what kind of questions are you throwing to your counterpart to get the best answers, the most effective kind of things to pose to them. So
Mhm.
I would say that they're probably some of the top people that I'm studying.
Okay. All right. Who do you feel that you have the best chemistry with?
Uh, there are definitely I mean, obviously I can't pick favorites, but some people I think of right off the bat are James Kincaid, who I got to work with at West Coast Pro. I think he and I had great banter. Johnny Torres up here in the Northeast. What I like about that is that it was so quick. Like right off the bat, the first show that we called together, I wasn't even expecting to be on commentary, and I hopped on for a match, and it was just like, oh, this is easy. Like this is cool. I think that the best commentary is just easy conversations.
Mhm.
Lenny Leonard, another one. Sam Laterna and I are like building our rapport on commentary, but we did that preview together, and I think that was really, really fun. But yeah, I think that they're some of the people that I really feel like I have great chemistry with.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Jack?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen you at a bunch of different companies, and I often wonder for the talent, even how different it is working from company to company. Like, clearly, you don't have to get familiar with how tight the ropes are because you're not in the ring taking bumps. But when you go to like a wrestling open type event where, maybe you're not given so much preparation about what the matches are versus, say, Pro Wrestling Grind or Blitzkrieg Pro, where there's a set series of matches. My guess is you show up ahead of time and know what's going to be happening. So at least you can kind of, if you had to do some research or prepare. But I guess how much variation is there depending on the different companies you work for? Because you are working as a freelancer.
I think the biggest difference is always how are we streaming and where are we streaming? Is this set up like a television product, or is this something where we don't really have the fanfare of, oh, are there going to be graphics between matches? Are you going to cut to the commentary table, from time to time? Do we have someone in our ear that's a producer that's telling us what's going to be, going on next, or giving us any not like coaching, but any kind of like messages that we need to pass along? Are there sponsors we have to worry about, like shouting out and stuff like that? To me, it's always just more so the logistics of it. I think no matter what, I approach everything with the same idea of I'm going to get there, I'm going to talk to talent and, see if there's anything particular they have in mind or they want to make sure that we mention, if they have any updates, did anything change in their move set or anything like that. And I think that doesn't differ really company to company. It's more about the logistics of the production, like what team are we working with, and more stuff like that. Just what's the product going to look like? Do we have a monitor? Do we have cans over our ears, or are we just using microphones? Kind of stuff like that.
Right. And there's so many things about your job that I know I couldn't do, as much as I admire it. But like, I can't communicate well if someone was talking in my ear. I think I would lose complete track of what it was I was saying in the first place. And then I'd probably be doing the fumfering.
That's definitely, I still am not completely used to that yet, of having someone in my ear, because I'm like, I think the first time it happened, I was like, like I was just so like taken aback because I wasn't expecting it. It gets a little easier, but it's definitely something to get used to. It's definitely kind of strange.
Well, I don't. I'm in both your ears right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jack, I think you can get used to that, because you and I did call a match when I had you come over to the Geek Lair and we set up the TV, and I was teaching you to call a match, actually, and I was teaching you what your Kickstarter. You did get frumpery, as you would say it. So yeah, but you overcame it rather quickly. I feel that it's just your personality. Like Alyssa's personality is so bubbly that she's just like, hey, I'm here, I'm gonna start talking. That's why she's so great at what she does. Jack, after a while, Jack, you were fine. Do you agree with me?
I completely agree, because also practice makes progress, so it's like,
Correct.
it's always going to be something that it's like building a callus to something. It's
Mhm.
kind of jarring at first, and then you just realize like, oh, okay, cool. I'm kind of like, I'm able to tune in and out sort of thing. But yeah, it's like juggling a bunch of dishes.
I can't juggle.
What's that thing? When they have plates on sticks? That's what I meant. I said it wrong. See?
I can't do that either. Plates on sticks.
I can't walk and chew gum. I
can walk and chew gum, I think. I only fell down once.
Yeah, double check that.
Practice.
Practice.
So here's a question for you, and I don't want to focus too much on this because it was just like one part of so much of what you do, but I always am curious, and we've talked about this with so many people about so many different things, whether it was ring announcing or being a referee. We were talking to Bill Thompson about this, but so there was a time where NXT gets in touch with you, and how is it that they contact you? Like, are you proactively reaching out to them, or is it just one of those things where they know who you are and they've got their eye on you and they say, hey, we're going to reach out to you? Like, how does that work for you, or how did that work?
So for me, I had done the seminar with Evolve. I had gone out to Chicago for that. I think that might have gotten me on like their radar sort of thing, but I had like done extra work. I had put out an application on the career site. So I think that my name was like in there, sort of spiraling around. Yeah. And then they reached out to me from that. And I don't know if there was anything particularly at play, but I know that it was probably a mixture of the seminar and the careers page that I went to.
Right. How was it to move? Was it like a no-brainer to be, I'm assuming you were still in the LA area.
Yeah.
Was it a no-brainer to be like, hey, I'm picking up my life and moving to Florida?
Yeah. It was like, that was it, like that was not even like, the funny thing is that wasn't even really like my plan from the get-go, but it was like, this makes sense. Like, if I'm in wrestling and I'm working hard and this is what I want to do, I of course want to do it under this banner. So yeah, that was easy decision. Process not so easy, but easy decision to make.
Right. Yeah. Did you find like the culture of the pro wrestling scene was radically different from California to Florida? Because I know I've lived on both coasts and I found it to be an enormous culture shock that I had to sort of figure out.
I think it's mainly I went from, every weekend going to shows where I was seeing all my friends and everything was a little like just silly and fun and goofy to everything feeling. I don't know if it was just like a little bit of like 3-letter peril that I felt, but it was just everything felt very professional and very by the book and a little less loosey goosey, So, and that was, within the sphere of NXT. I think outside of that, I didn't really have a lot of time to explore much. And even afterward, I don't really feel like I got super deep into the Florida like independent scene at all that much. I think after my time with NXT, I was working a lot on my podcast, and obviously like the world was shutting down, so I was doing a lot of stuff remotely. So I didn't really heavily explore the Florida scene except for really Shine and like WWN products.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then from there, I mean, again, you have a good perspective on it. You're one of the more well-rounded perspectives, having like that triangle you were talking about earlier. But then coming to the Northeast where it all started, was that something that you looked forward to coming back up here? Like, it was the Northeast sort of regaled as a big deal in Florida, or was it just like, hey, this is my old stomping grounds, happy to be back?
It's funny because I feel like for myself and for Andy, like wrestling was kind of the last thing on our minds. It was like, okay, family, just taking a breath, and being able to kind of like regroup ourselves, and then wrestling just kind of happened. Obviously we knew about some of like the, the bigger companies that were up in the Northeast, but I think that was kind of a really happy, lucky situation that we were not anticipating. But the way that everyone kind of reacted and really just welcomed us in, I'm forever grateful for, because they didn't have to. There was 2 brand new people just kind of waltzing in. Like, they did not have to welcome us and treat us as kindly as they did. And every locker room was just so welcoming and so nice to us.
What was the best compliment that you received, whether it be from a legend or just one of the workers that came up and said, I heard what you said about my match. Oh my God, thank you so much.
Oh, wow. It's so funny because I feel like I only ever think about like, oh, what was that critique I got? Huh. I had, I think it was after Heavy Lies the Crown, I had one of the talent reach out to me on social media and was like, hey, my significant other that like does not even watch wrestling remarked on how much they liked your commentary. And I was like, well, thank you. Because stuff like that means a lot, because it's obviously wrestling fans are going to enjoy what they see and, whatever may have you. But to have someone that isn't really even following wrestling say, hey, this person's voice that I can't even see right now, like, I like this. This is cool. I was like, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, that kind of stuff means a lot. Yeah. And then just people that say like, hey, you did my match justice, or you got what I was trying to get across and you helped tell that story. It's usually after the fact when people have, been able to watch the footage. And I've had like a handful of people reach out to me, and that's, I say like, that's what I do it for. Cause I have so much respect for the people in the ring. Like I can't do stuff like that. They're literally putting their bodies on the line to tell this story. And I just want to be an extension of that. So to know that I did right by them, that's all that matters.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big team effort, and I think it's easy to underestimate, even the referees. I think that's one of those things where people just don't understand what an integral part of the storytelling they play, and the commentating, like especially with IWTV. It's like the best $100 I spend every year, because I get to have exposure, like you mentioned, to all these companies and names like I just didn't know before. Like, I might have heard of them, but it was my first time actually seeing like, oh wow, like that guy was amazing, and oh hey, he turned up on AEW. I know who he is. And, it just kind of, for me, makes it more fun when I can put the pieces together.
Agreed. Yeah. Cause it is definitely one of those things, especially when you feel like, oh my God, I knew them before like the mainstream audience saw them. Like, oh, I'm special. I'm cool. I like that. Like that. I kind of live for that stuff.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Oh.
Hello.
All right, it is time for this week's trivia. And this week's trivia is brought to you by Alternate Universe LLC in New Haven and Milford, Connecticut. Stop by, see Eric and the gang, tell them that you saw them on Faces and Heels podcast. They are Angry Geeks approved. Every Wednesday is free comic book day. Stop in, get your fix if you're not in the area. They do take internet orders, so make sure you stop by and tell them, hey. And it is time for trivia. Jack, are you ready?
I'm more ready than I was last week because I blew it last week.
All right.
Last episode.
Alyssa, are you ready?
Nope, but I'm gonna try.
All right.
Lord.
According to Demolition Axe, what did Mr. Fuji drive? According to Demolition Axe, what did Mr. Fuji drive?
You gotta be kidding.
1, a Datsun 280Z. 2, a Winnebago. 3, a Mercedes. Or 4, a Volkswagen.
Well,
Alyssa's face is like, yeah.
I haven't the foggiest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of my favorite movies, Spaceballs, and the influence of a Winnebago, and I'm going to guess.
You're going to get, and okay, Jack,
Oh, man.
before we go to the judges,
That sounds so good. I feel like I should copy you. But what was number 1?
The Datsun.
what was number 1? Number 1 was a Datsun 280Z.
Yeah, I'm going with the Datsun 280Z.
Jack, you are incorrect. Alyssa,
Yes.
what was your answer?
I said Winnebago.
And she is correct.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, Mr. Fuji, during an interview, Demolition. Oh, we have a comment. And Eric comes in. Oh man, I'm late. And Eric says a Datsun. No, Eric, you are wrong on this one. During an interview, Demolition was having an interview. Again, they were speaking about Matilda, the dog from the British Bulldogs, and they said they were going to take the dog, chrome him, and make him a hood ornament for Mr. Fuji's Winnebago.
Wow.
So I just want to defend myself for a second here.
Jack,
just to give you my logic.
Jack.
Is that Eric Hunting is always right.
You suck,
He was
Jack.
right last time, and I didn't listen, and I listened to him this time, and now he's wrong.
Jack.
Should have listened to Spaceballs.
It sounded so good. I knew you were going to be right when it just sounded right. I'm like, yep,
Thank you. Thank you.
that's it.
That's what you get, Jack. Yes.
All right. Nice echo. Nice echo.
Alyssa, you get a no prize from the Faces and Heels podcast, but in the future weeks, we will be giving away t-shirts. We have a very nice Bruiser Roadie t-shirt that's going to be up. Yes, Jack, you don't know about this. That's the kind of producer that I am, Jack. The kind of
Evidently.
producer
Keep
that
you
I
on your
am.
toes.
I steal stuff from my kids to give. I get stuff to give away on your show.
Thank you. You are a god among men.
Teamwork.
That teamwork. Yes. And Eric says Fuji's Winnebago just ran him over. Make sure you come tune in next week when we'll have more classic old school trivia brought to you by Alternate Universe LLC.
I can't wait for you to embarrass me with Jack Dalton. That's going to be awesome. Just checking them off every week. Alyssa, TJ, Jack.
Sorry about
Lord,
that.
man.
Oh, you see what I do to the girls every Monday night on Angry Geeks, boy. They get trivia and they get questions of the week. So yeah,
Yikes.
I'm just rolling.
You're a taskmaster.
I know. I try.
Keeping us all on
Continue
our
on.
toes.
You're succeeding.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the girls yell at me though. I mean, Jamie and Emily, they get mad.
All I'm saying is, if you got too many steel chairs sitting around the lair this weekend, you might be wearing one, but it'll sneak up.
Maybe,
Ooh.
maybe it's possible.
Yikes.
Yeah, we'll see. I chopped them really loud last time, but
Oh,
we'll see.
sick.
Yeah, he did actually, and now I have a heart condition. Thanks, Jack. Maybe you're the cause of my maybe you're the cause of my AFib and all this medication I got to take now.
And you didn't have to lay that on me.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I did.
Wow.
I'm a yeah. Look at Alyssa's face. She thinks I'm lying. No, Alyssa, I'm not lying. I have a heart condition right now. I'm an AFib. That's
I'm
right.
so
Do you know what that
sorry.
is?
I
Will you stop?
do.
Will you stop bothering her with
I
it?
I actually,
I
yeah, I know
am.
what that is.
I am. I was in the hospital, and the July 4th weekend, my heart rate went up to 177 beats per minute, and they put me in the
Heavens.
hospital, and I didn't even know.
Oh,
And Jack didn't even do a damn thing. He didn't even come to the hospital to see me.
he didn't even try to
And
like chop you again to like reset it or anything.
no, no, but they did. They actually shocked me twice, and he didn't even call me once.
Oh
Can you
my
believe that?
God.
Jack.
This is
Well,
such
Kevin,
nonsense.
Kevin from Blood, Sweat, and Tears Wrestling even offered to Uber eat me food.
Oh, that's
And my
nice.
other co-host from the Angry Geek Show, Jamie, that Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan, and Emily Partington, aka Quinderella, called me every day, but Jack didn't.
Wow.
Can
I
you
was
believe
I
that?
was blowing up this man's phone. Don't listen to a
Hmm.
word of this sob
No, he did
story.
not. Oh, he blew up my phone. Is that to assassinate me again, Jack? Is that what you tried
Oh
to
my
do?
God.
I
You're,
think so.
you're laying it on thick
I'm
tonight.
the physical manifestation of Kermit just sipping his tea, just like, it's none of my business. Ugh.
Oh. And Axel comes in. Axel's kind of late. Axel is official security for the Angry Geeks Network. Hey,
Hello.
big man, what's going on? Okay, Jack, continue.
Okay.
Alyssa's busy. She's a busy lady. She got a lot of stuff to do. We got 10 minutes left. Come on. What are you doing?
Right. Well, you've turned me into the
Wrap it
complete
up.
heel now, so I
You
don't know
are a heel.
where I go
Come
from
on.
here. All
You
right.
don't want to eat the food we're having here on Saturday. It might be poison after
Uh-oh.
what you did to me.
Whoa, dude, this is a
Yikes.
live threat. A live threat.
Oh,
Man, if I drop before
somebody
I get to
screen
my car,
record.
yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing. But maybe I'll have a certain guy out west call you. I don't know.
I don't know what that means. All
Hmm.
right,
Neither do I. I'm trying to think of where Colorado is.
so I'm going to put myself in direct danger on Saturday when we're going to get together to watch the Royal Rumble.
Oh,
I
boy.
don't know if you watch the premium events, Alyssa, but if you do, if you're interested in the Royal Rumble, do you have a dream prediction of maybe someone who might magically appear that night?
Sadly I do not, because I'm bad at, like, all the stuff I watch is independent stuff to like prepare for my shows. So
Yeah.
like it almost sometimes feel like there's so much wrestling and there's not enough hours in the day. I will say that from what I've been following along, I just want to see Sami Zayn take it all. I love
Wow.
So I love Sami Zayn. One of my absolute favorites. So I would be down for that.
Okay, that's fantastic. We
New
love
England.
Sami Zayn.
Acknowledge me.
That
I can dig-
storyline is certainly the best thing they
It's-
have going.
It's brilliant. I love it so much.
It's so funny because people did hate the bloodline. They were getting tired of Roman,
Yeah.
and they were getting tired of the Usos until they gave Sammy the ball, and he rejuvenated that everybody. He gave Roman new life. He gave the Usos new life. He gave Heyman new life. He just, I mean, he shocked them all back to rhythm, and
Yeah.
it's just like amazing. And every time you get the feeling that, oh my God, they're gonna kick him out, the crowd legitimately starts booing and really begin to hate Roman again.
Yeah.
And it is just it's heartbreaking. Like the time they ripped the shirt off him, you felt bad.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
it's what they're doing is working.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, come on, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And yeah, it's really it's compelling storytelling. They're doing the right thing. And they're definitely making money off of Sami Zayn right now.
Oh,
The
1000%.
T-shirts are selling like crazy, so for sure.
So here's a question for you, Alyssa, because we'd love to stray a little outside of wrestling, and we've done a little bit of that already. But you've got a skill set that can be utilized in so many different areas. Have you ever, or would you ever want to do voiceover work for like TV, cartoon, commercial, that world?
1000%. I've done like a little bit of like commercial work. I had one project that I was really excited for that was a little more creative that unfortunately fell through. But yes, definitely. If I was not doing wrestling or while I'm doing wrestling, would love to do more voiceover work for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's always got to be pluses and minuses to, being in one place as opposed to a freelancer. And the nice thing is that if that phone were to ring or you get that email and it's like, hey, we got this gig that's coming up for 6 months, you could do it.
Yeah. That's 1000% what I kind of love about having, like I said, just that freedom aspect of it, of being able to pursue a bunch of different things and different passions.
Oh, there's the phone.
Oh, opportunity. I'm ready.
There it is.
Or I guess opportunity knocks. It doesn't usually like ring, but whatever,
How about a buzzer instead?
That's fine. I'll take it.
Oh,
there it is. Opportunity. Hello. Yes. Love that.
I mean, that would be fantastic. And it just feels like that's one nice thing about having the skill set that you do is, you could be a ring announcer if necessary. Like for an event at Blitzkrieg, like, did you know you were going to be the ring announcer? Was that something that just kind of, they called you up the day before, be like, oh my God, we don't have a ring announcer? Or did they plan that months ahead with you?
No, that was a little bit more of a last minute thing. I have this motto that I've kept since I started in wrestling, which is say yes and then figure it out. And that was one of those situations. So
it always seems to work out. I mean, I get thrown into that situation quite often, and it always does seem to work out. And sometimes it does work out for your favor, and you get honored to do something. And we'll talk about that off when we sign off. But it sometimes it works out, and other times it starts off to be a disaster, but it straightens itself out. And it just, if it starts off as a disaster, once it does work itself out, it truly does show that you have chops to do what you're meant to do.
Every learning experience, or every experience can be a learning experience. So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I would throw Jack to the wolves. I would throw Jamie and Emily to the wolves because it's good. It's good to do that because it is a learning experience to go out there and just to say, here you go, you're going to do it on your own.
Yeah.
So you learn, so you know how to think on your feet and do something. Am I right, Jack? I did that to you many times.
And I'm sure you will again next week.
Yeah.
Keeps it exciting though. Keeps it exciting.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, throw a mic at someone and say, okay, this is what I want you to do. Just be yourself, amp it up to 1,000 and go. And you do get, I get a look all the time. No, yeah, see ya. And I'll just be like,
oh,
that was it. The see ya.
There we go. Now we've changed this dynamic completely. It's not going to be stagnant or complacent. Oh, Lewis is back.
Yeah, I'm back.
And you're on the wrong side. There you go.
There he is. Hello.
There you go, Jack. There you go.
But yes, example, point proven, point made.
Mm-hmm.
Well done, Lewis.
I try.
You're succeeding. Excellent. So what was the most maybe unexpected moment at a show that's ever occurred for you? Maybe something outside the box that wasn't planned. Like recently I was at a test of strength show, a fire alarm went off and everybody was like, so is this serious? Are we getting up to stop watching the match? Like, have you had a moment like that where something wacky happened and you just weren't quite sure how to handle it?
Luckily, no. Like maybe something where they've switched an order on me. Yes. I feel like I've had some situation in the past where I said, the following contest is for such and such championship, but it turns out to be a different match. I'm like, I'm just kidding.
I
I did once have, I guess it was kind of unexpected. I had written down, it was when I first started, and I had written down someone's ring announcement on a card. And then I was writing so fast, I couldn't understand my handwriting when I went to read it. So I read it wrong. And I missaid their hometown, but luckily they were a heel. So they just like ripped the mic and like made me re-say it. But yeah, I think that's just like little flubby things, but we just kind of roll with the punches. So, but yeah, nothing like crazy unexpected, which I like. I'm a planner. I don't like stuff going off the rails. So yeah, I'm
right.
I'm good on that.
So here's a question, because I honestly don't know the answer at all. But is there Alyssa Marino merch out there?
There is. So from my my podcast that I had back in the day was all cereal themed. So right now I have a few remaining shirts of my Marinos, part of a Well Balanced Broadcast t-shirts. Yes. With a really cute little drawing of me. I don't even know. I have to order more of them, but they are available. At shows I usually have 8x10s as well as trading cards.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
working on getting some more, but for now that's all I got.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
So because you just said you're a planner, because this is one of the questions I wanted to make sure I shoehorn in. You're a planner.
Yes.
So do you have specific 2023 goals, being that we've just kind of gotten over the start of the year? What do you have in front of you?
26 days in, Jack, just so you know.
Well done. You're counting well. What do you want to do in 2023? What do you have planned, if anything?
The main thing I think for me is I want to create like a little 5. Good. I want to create like a bundle of companies that I'm like a regular at, that I want to feel like instead of like, I don't want to, I got into a problem where I spread myself really thin, or I try to get everywhere at once, and it's just not realistic. So I think that I want to have my core group of things that I do. I definitely want to get back out west. Even just for like a little visit, if I can pick up anything out there, it would be awesome. Yeah, I think that in the wrestling world, that's kind of my main stuff, is like be really great at the promotions where I am and try and get back to the West. Just to kind of like pop in, say hi, call some
That's
cool
All
stuff.
right.
That sounds like an awesome agenda. So, I mean, I don't know if you feel like you've got some of those in place already, because this might just be my limited perspective on it, but I think of you pretty tightly associated with Blitzkrieg Pro and Pro Wrestling Grind, which I consider to be two of the top promotions in the Northeast, if not anywhere in the country. Does that feel accurate to you?
Yeah, they feel really good. I love working for Grind, love working for Blitzkrieg. I've been able to get in a couple of shows with Beyond as well. That's been absolutely incredible. And Garden State Pro, which I know that they're not part of IWTV's family right now, but they have put on some really cool matches. A lot of stuff up in New Jersey that I've really, really been enjoying being a part of. I work there with Veda Scott, and we've been having a blast. So yeah, they've been kind of the spots where I've been pretty regularly, and I'm really, really happy about it.
So we want to make sure we give you a chance to let all of our listeners know, like maybe where
Why
they can
are
find
you doing my job? Why are you doing my job?
Because I got one more thing. You're gonna make me forget.
Yeah.
But before you promote that, and Lewis is gonna step in another second, is there one match you could recommend for us to go on IWTV and check out to see some of your favorite work? Like maybe there was a particular match that you really enjoyed.
Okay. I have 2 recently that just come to mind right off the bat. Andy Brown versus Anthony Green at Limit Blitz Day 1. Definitely
Awesome.
a must. And Bobby Orlando versus Warhorse from Beyond's Heavy Lives the Crown at Restival.
Nice. I have to watch that.
Wow. It was so exciting. It was thrilling. Yes.
Fantastic.
Alyssa, we are at the end of an hour, and you've been such a doll. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. Please tell everyone listening on the Angry Geek Show Network, watching on Public Access TV, and across Roku and Amazon Fire Stick on the Pod TV network. Please tell them where they can find you across the internet, on your social medias, and where they can see you. Please let them know right now.
Absolutely. I am at AYY_Marino on all social media. As far as places you can see me coming up soon, I will be at Garden State on February 3rd, February 4th, early February. I'm going to find out for sure. Garden State Pro on February 3rd. It's a Friday. And then I will be rounding out the end of the month at Grind on the 24th and Blitzkrieg Pro on the 25th. So you can kind of catch me bookends of the month.
Thank you, Jack. Valentine's Day is coming up. Please tell everyone where they can buy their loved ones some beautiful art.
Yes.
That's right. I could draw Deadpool with a heart. I could do Batman blowing a kiss. Who knows? Whatever. If you need to contact me, I'm Jack Purcell Inc. INK on Instagram and on Facebook. If you go to patreon.com, you could just look up Jack Purcell. I'm there. There's all kinds of action going on there. If you want to see progress work and stuff that I don't post on social media, that's your one spot for that. I'm also kind of loitering on TikTok. Not sure what I'm doing, but that's Jack Purcell 38. And I just want to say quickly before I turn it over to Lewis. Lewis has plans to embarrass me again. Next week, we have the guy Jack Dalton as a guest. And The Man Has No Mercy the following week on Valentine's Day, no less. This man has plans to embarrass me in front of Love Doug.
But that's his time. That's
And
wow.
It's so perfect.
Wow, what a perfect day. And also, I just want to vouch that I have Jack Purcell artwork in my abode, and I absolutely love it. I cried. It's wonderful. So can't recommend highly enough.
I heard that story.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Anyway, we are the Faces and Heels podcast. I'm Louis Perry. You can find me every Monday night with my sister from another Mr. That Wonder Woman, Jamie Dolan, and our sidekick, Quinderella, on the Angry Geek Show every Tuesday night with Jack Purcell on the Faces and Heels podcast. Just go to the website, angrygeeksshow.com, and you can get all the links to all the social media, to Pod TV, and to all the places you can see us. And most of all, Monday nights. You have been watching The Angry Geek Show on Pod TV. Visit our website today. And for guest bookings, email us at theangrygeekshow@gmail.com today.